Well, guys, there was a couple of questions after talking about my case last year, what I went through, and getting back into that. There was in my last few videos because there was cops involved, Borman cops involved in me metal detecting. But over the process of me talking about this again, it's gotten people to ask me some questions that didn't know anything about my first two channels. Um, so they have questions, and for me to answer them in a text, it's no way. Uh, it would be too long to try to explain that. So I'm going to try to explain this all these answer these questions in this video. So bear with me. I'm sure I'll get to answering your question. I got a few of them, um, but I'm sure uh, I'll get around to it. One of the first questions I ask if if all those charges were false charges and I had the video evidence and everything in court and they refused to accept my evidence and found me guilty on everything, why didn't I appeal that judgment? People, the only way I can explain this is when I started fighting this case, when I actually about 6 months before I started fighting this case, uh, my breathing wasn't going good. Uh, I was having a lot of my heart was acting up. The stress of everything that I've been doing for a long time was catching up with me. Um, by the time I actually got to the trial, I had done lost about 60 pounds. And my wife and my family, and I'm sure some of the people in the courthouse, saw what all this stress and everything was doing to me. It was killing me fast. Now, I even told the judge, and it's in the public records, that no matter what happened in that courtroom, no matter what his decision was, it would be appealed and taken to a different court. Uh, when the time come at the end of the trial, my wife and my family had saw me deteriorate so much that they begged me not to appeal the case, just let it end and be over. Now they also pretty much said if this isn't the end of it, if this crap continues on, we'll find a lawyer and sue the hell out of every damn buddy. The whole family would have seen to that. So I did not appeal it, and I didn't do it for my wife and kids and my family. If not for them, I'd have fought this all the way until it either killed me or I won, because there was a lot of corruption going on in that Mahoney County courtroom number two, and there's still people in place that can see to it that that corruption is still going on. People in this town want to tell me the judge is a good man. They never told me once that that prosecutor was. Nobody. But there's a lot of people, and like I say, even the police department that knows him personally, and other people I've met around town that I've talked to about him that knows him personally, and they call him a good man. Well, not after. You can't say that when a judge he's sitting in a courtroom, he's seeing what I'm showing, he's seeing what the prosecutor's showing, and because it's personal against him, deny all the evidence. In my case, folks, not only should the judge have recused himself, but the prosecutor should have recused himself as well, because I made it personal with both of them before I ever went to trial, before I ever even got arrested. I was talking about the courtroom down there, the judge, everybody in the courtroom. I was talking about the sheriff's department, the police departments. I was talking about all of them. I'd done beat the prosecutor that handled my case last year. I done beat him and his state trooper. They had a state trooper that when they pulled me over, they claimed to pull me over for a turn signal, wrote me a seatbelt ticket. Well, before he walked away from my car, I asked him, I said, did I have my seatbelt on when you pulled me over? And he said, you sure did. Well, I took that. He didn't know I was recording him on a video. I was recording his ass. I took that to the judge, showed it to the judge. I tried to show it to the prosecutor, but he said, I ain't going to play none of your games. I know who you are. And the prosecutor refused to see it. And I refused to plea bargain with him. He told me, all you have to do is pay us $25 and you can just go home. You don't even have to go in front of the judge. I said, ain't happening. I said, why would I pay you $25 for something I can prove your officer's lying about? And so when we got in the courtroom, I played my video, and the officer standing there admitting I had my seatbelt on when he pulled me over. I won the case. Well, that same prosecutor was the one that stepped up on this case I had last year. Actually, the first prosecutor that was on it, first time I talked to him about it, and after he saw the police report and everything, he looked at him. He told him, no, I ain't touching this. I ain't getting involved in this. The very first prosecutor. Then the second prosecutor that came up, I had a nickname for him as well. I had nicknames for everybody, folks. And I was fighting them all, and I had nicknames for them. But this prosecutor, I called him the Demon 40 Chins. He had about 40 chins because he weighed about 900 pounds. And he was a demon. There's nothing else you could call him. He was evil, pure, all the way through. Well, because I got it, and I bragged about beating his ass in that courtroom. I bragged about how I beat him with a video and everything. I bragged about it on my channel. They were all watching my channels, folks. I was their number one thing to watch on YouTube when I had all this shit going in this town. The number one thing that the sheriff's department, the police department, the courthouse, the prosecutors, all of them was watching my shit because I was talking about all of them. And they couldn't even figure out who the hell I was. They couldn't figure out who I really was. The cars I were driving weren't even in my name. I was driving my wife's car and my daughter's car, my son's vehicles. My Jeep I kept in the garage. I wasn't even driving it. These guys couldn't figure out who I was, even with my full name. They needed my Social Security number. They needed to arrest me on something. And I gave it to them just so they could pull up my background, find out I wasn't a criminal. And just so they'd know who I am. But that prosecutor, he showed me my damn background report. It was 300 plus pages thick. And he asked, because I was demanding I had copies of all the evidence that they had against me. I had to file for that. A disclosure. That's a part of the process. I had to file for it to get it. He told me the only thing he had was my background check. said, well, that ain't no evidence. And he goes, you're right, there ain't nothing in it. And he goes, and it's 300 plus pages. Do you want me to print that off for you? I said, no, I got a copy of that already. So I know he got my background. He goes, you know there ain't nothing in it. But that judge and that prosecutor should have recused themselves. And as a matter of fact, I'm thinking about it because that prosecutor has now, he was fired for breaking the law for his buddy. He's no longer a prosecutor around here. Now, he might be somewhere else, but not in Maricopa County. Mahoney County. Maricopa County's out in there, damn Arizona. Sheriff Joe Arpaio out there when I was out there. But, let's see, witnesses. They asked me about the witnesses. Originally, the first night I went in for the trial, I was going in for it. I was ready to do it. I get in there and all I find, the prosecutor tells me the only evidence he has is the officer that claimed these charges on me, and he wasn't even the arresting officer. So I was like, you don't even have no witness. There's nothing other than him. Hell, I got him whooped. He's a liar, and I can prove it. So I asked for a continuance so that I could pull some witnesses in. Now, I didn't want to drag the guy that run the Giant Eagle, or he was the district manager for that Giant Eagle. I didn't want to drag him into court. I was trying to get him on the phone. I called him 4 or 5 times just to get him, just to let him know what was going on, that one of the dirty cops that works at his store was trying to accuse me of stuff I did not do. And he would not return my calls for nothing. I called him probably 20, 30 times. So I had him summoned into court. Well, that pissed him off. So he lied in the stand. He got in the witness stand and lied because I dragged his butt into court to get the truth out because I was being accused of shit on the property that he runs. He gave me permission on video, and now he's saying he didn't. And he lied sitting in the witness stand. Well, when the police was, when the officer that was working security at his store that night claimed I fled from him when all I did was drive out of the parking lot a security guard doesn't have the right to make you or keep you from leaving the store unless you've obviously stolen something or something like that. They cannot physically or tell you to not leave the property. They can tell you to leave the property and you better leave it or you can go to jail. But they can't tell you you can't leave the property. I was leaving the property. This clown wanted to bully me some more, try to scare me with the law. Well, I wasn't playing that no more, folks. And the law states I don't have to I do not have to follow any commands a police officer gives me if he has no right to be ordering me to do anything. I've had to have broken the law. I've had to have stolen something in order to give him authority over me. Other than that, they don't have authority over you. They can't just drive up next to you, see you standing there, walk out, get out of their car and start demanding ID and shit on you without you doing a damn thing. No, they can't do that. Now, these cops think they can. They think they have that power. And the reason why they do is because their upper people tell them they have that kind of power. But according to the law, they don't have that power. So now that I know I hadn't broken any laws, that cop has no reason to even talk to me. He's working on overtime as at police officer pay, pulling security duty inside a grocery store, standing there twiddling his thumbs and being paid time and a half from you tax-paying people, paying him time and a half to stand in there and twiddle his thumbs. Well, when they're in there working as security, they can't be doing traffic duty out on the streets as well. Well, that's what he claimed he was doing, is he was going to pull me over and give me a ticket in the store parking lot where he's working security because he claimed I did not have a driver's license. He knew damn good and well I had an Indiana driver's license, but they claimed I didn't have an Ohio license, so I had no license at all. That'll get you a year in jail, folks. It ain't a fix-it ticket. Not the one they're talking about. And the one they charged me with. That's what he claims at first, that he's stopping me as a traffic stop in a grocery parking lot on private property. Now, if he's a police officer, we're sitting on private, if he's working as a police officer, we're on private property, and he's pulling me over for a traffic stop, claiming I don't have a license, when he's never even stopped me before in his life. He only knows about what he's seen on YouTube. That's it. Now, in the newspaper I just recently read, he claimed I was being belligerent. So, see, he can't even get his story straight. But anyway, he said he was walking up to stop me for this traffic stop because he was going to ticket for me for not having a driver's license, and I refused to stop. He then said I drove my car directly at him, trying to run him down. And that's what he told the police when he went out over the radio telling him I fled from him. This is what he's telling his buddies. That I tried to run him down, and when I sped out of the parking lot. Even claimed to have a witness, a woman, a witness that worked at the Giant Eagle, said she was right there, saw it all. I almost run that cop over. Even told the cop, well, you're lucky you're fast as you are, or he'd have killed you, or he'd have run over you. I proved both these people were lying in the courtroom with one video. It was the video I was playing from inside my car. When he come walking up on the left-hand side of my car, I turned my steering wheel. You clearly see me turning my steering wheel all the way to the right, as far as it would go, to go out and around that police officer. It wasn't accepted as them lying. My video wasn't even accepted by the courts. Matter of fact, the judge said that proved me more guilty than anything. Not that it proved the police officer out to be a liar and the witness that the prosecutor's office was using to be a liar, because they said I tried to run him down. And with me turning the steering wheel all the way to the right, that proves they were lying. So right then and there, nothing else they said should be considered truth. Nothing else. Didn't matter. Not in that courtroom. Let's see. Okay, I answered that one. Oh, Nick Newland. Nick Newland was the arresting officer. He works for the Boardman Township Police Department. He was the one that arrested me because he was ordered to. He was the one on scene when I got to Mike Manis was here first, but Nick Newland was the one that actually arrested me. They waited till he got there to arrest me. Now, he's the only one other than myself that got on that witness stand in that courtroom and told the truth. And I've got a pretty good rapport with Nick Newland from the first time I even met him. It had anything to do with a police action of any kind. He wasn't pulling me over. He was driving by my house. I was sitting out on my porch, and he yells, "Old Watachi," out the window. Because they were being made to watch all my videos and shit and see what I was saying about them now, you know. So he drove by my house and yelled Watachi out the window. So I did a video and I said, "Hey, that officer in car 18, if you want to stop and talk, pull in, we'll talk." And so he did. A couple days later, he pulled in and we sat up on my porch to talk. Well, we got a pretty good rapport. And when I told Nick I was going to, I was summons him into court. I saw him out on driving one day. I told him I got a summons for you. He said, "Oh yeah," and I said, "Yeah." And I go and I told him, I said, "The only thing I want out of you, Nick, I didn't tell him anything I was going to ask him, any questions I was going to put to him or anything. I never even actually got a chance to talk to him before we went into the courtroom, and I should have been able to." All I told Nick, the only thing I want from you as my witness sitting up there in that witness stand is for you to tell the damn truth. Whatever question I ask, whatever you think the truth was that night, you tell the truth, because I know you know it. And I left it at that till I got him in the witness stand. When I got him in the witness stand, I asked him flat out, was you told to write me a ticket for having no driver's license on this night by the officer that brought these charges against me? He said, "Yes, sir, I was." I said, "Why didn't you write the ticket when he asked you to write it?" And he explained to the courts, "Because I was sitting there looking at your driver's license right in front of me that you gave me for ID. It was a good driver's license. I wasn't writing a ticket for you not having a driver's license." And I said, "So do you think I had a driver's license on that night?" And he said, "I sure do." And he was the one that arrested me. None of that, what he said, mattered to this courthouse or to that judge. None of it. So, but he did do that, and I trust him as a person in that kind of position. I trust him to be truthful. And the thing about this, the judge that a lot of people around here claim is a good man. The judge allowed every bit of this to happen because he didn't like me about what I said about him on my YouTube channel. He shouldn't even have been in charge of the case because he had a personal interest. Let me see. Okay, it looks like I hit them all in 22 minutes. Folks, I don't suggest doing anything like this. If something like this unless you know more than I know about the damn law, I don't suggest you pulling anything like this, because even with knowing the law, it don't even matter today. Don't even waste your time even studying it, because whatever's written in those black law books, the courts don't go by them. Maybe some of them in big cities, maybe some of these federal courts still kind of go by them, but they don't go by them all. They never take any laws away. They only add more. Just like in the state of Ohio, I think it's June 9th, the state of Ohio becomes a constitutional carry state. They still hadn't told the officers that are working the streets what laws are being taken down and what laws aren't. All they've been told is June 9th, Ohio becomes a constitutional carry state. Well, they don't even know what that means. They haven't even been given a page or a memo on what that means. These people are used to arresting people if they got a gun in their car and they don't have a concealed weapons license. Even though it's open carry in Ohio, in your car, you're concealed it now. Once you get in your car, your weapon becomes a concealed weapon. That's a felony if you don't have a gun license from the state of Ohio, because they claim they accept other fucking licenses, but in some of the cities they don't. They don't accept them. They'll file the charges against you, and if you can't prove you're innocent, they win. And that is the way courtrooms are all across the country. That's not just in this state, and this city. I've fought in these courtrooms all across this country over stupid shit. And they're all the same way. But in the bigger cities, there's too many people watching that's willing to take them down. They're not as blatant about it as they are in this Mahoney County courtrooms. They're not as blatant about it. In courtroom number 2, they don't give a shit about any rights you think you have at all. So, you guys, God loves you and so do I. Hopefully that answers your questions. All this does bring up old shit on me. This shit's over a year old now. But I talk about it, so when there's questions, I try to answer them. And people, everything I'm telling you is public record. Everything I'm telling you is public record. I filed for the judge to recuse himself. I filed for a change of venue because of the personal, because the judge this was personal to the judge, and this was personal to the prosecutor, because I've been talking about him for 2 years before this, prior to this. This was personal for both of them. Everything I filed for, it was thrown in the trash, basically. It was accepted, and it's part of public record, but it was thrown in the trash. So, I suggest, unless you've got some balls, just roll over, keep doing what you've been doing, roll over and play the game, because there are no rules to their game, and they can change them anytime they want. So, the decision's up to you. How hard are you willing to fight, and what do you truly believe? Is that Constitution really in place? Then stand up and fight like nobody's business. Stand up and fight like a patriot. But if there's a chance that Constitution isn't in place, and I've proven it isn't, you'll find out like I did. They claim it's there, but it ain't. It's all an illusion. Everything they tell you is an illusion. And for the little bit that's truth that is wrapped up in there somewhere, you're wasting your time trying to find it in them. You never will. So, God loves you, so do I. Till the next one, guys.